Al-Aziz, Al-Aziz, the mighty one, the strong, the defeater who is not defeated. In another translation could be the conqueror. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the mighty one. There is nobody stronger or who has more might than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant them respect. So everybody wants respect in this world. So if you want to get the right type of respect, then say Al-Aziz constantly throughout the day. Okay, Al-Aziz, the strong, the most esteemed, the exalted one. Okay, so there's many names, many translation. Al-Aziz in Arabic is the one who is most powerful and strong. He is the conqueror that is never conquered and never harmed. This is because his strength, glory, and power are overwhelming and cannot be overcome or resisted. He is the only one with complete mastery over all creation. And remember the story of the king Namrud at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he says, okay, then I will fight you, God. Okay, he wanted to wage war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent, tornadoes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have caused the earthquake, caused an eighth earthquake to swallow up Namrud and his entire army whole. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show his might, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have called upon all the lions, the leopards, the cheetahs, the tigers from the jungles and from the deserts, the elephants, right, to come in and destroy that army. But he never. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send?
A disabled fly.
Yeah, a disabled fly. Okay, one of the fly's wings was broken, the leg was broken, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used that tiny fly to destroy Namrud. The fly went straight up Namrud's nose. Okay, and in some narrations it says that that fly sat on his brain for many years, many years, okay, until eventually one of the servants of Namrud hit Namrud in the head so hard that his head cracked open and then the fly flew out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the mighty one. And one of the sunnahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that he doesn't need to show all of his might to show how mighty he is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can show how mighty he is through very simple and small means. Okay, you hear about the tornado that hit Mosley?
Yeah.
So a tornado came ripping through here, okay, and so many roofs it just uprooted, so many cars it turned over. There was cars inside people's front room, there was trees going through people's windows, and all of this was just with a little bit of wind. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the mighty one, the conqueror, the strong, the defeater who is not defeated. Guys, if ever you have any questions, then please just stop me, raise a hand, and you can ask it. Next name, inshallah, Al Jabbar. Al Jabbar. Okay, the all compelling, the one that nothing happens in his domain except that which he willed. There is no power, there is no might, there is no strength apart from that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to people. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jabbar, he is the compelling one. So who knows what it means to compel? I did explain this last time. To compel.
Overcome. To overcome.
That is to subdue somebody. Al-Jabbar, to compel somebody, is to force somebody to do it. Meaning, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an order, nobody has the right to say no. Oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, I'm too tired. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to wake up in the morning and pray your Fajr Salah. Nobody can say, oh, I'm too tired now, I don't want to pray. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Jabbar, okay? He compels people to pray and nobody has a say in it. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, and we're going to talk about Al-Khaliq in a bit, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us everything that we have. Even the oxygen that we breathe is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The parents that we have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The house that we live in is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The clothes on our back are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who are we to deny the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Nobody. We cannot deny the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al Jabbar. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al Jabbar, why is it that some people disobey Allah? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all compelling and nothing happens in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's dominion except that which He willed, why is it that some people disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or why isn't the whole of mankind Muslim? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to, He could have made them all Muslim. Why is it, guys? Have a think.
Because He willed it to happen, so He made some people different religions to see if they would follow the truth.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave people free will. Okay? So in this dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that these are my commands. Now, if you act upon these commands, this is what you will get. And if you deny the commands, then this is the punishment that I have in store for you. Okay? Whoever is grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them more. Whoever is ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. My punishment is vicious, swift. Okay? So, although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Jabbar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all compelling, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us free will. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to choose whether or not we want to obey Him or not. However, on the day of judgment, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now because you obeyed me, this is the reward for it. Or if you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is the punishment for it. And nobody will be able to turn around and say, well, I don't deserve to get punished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Jabbar. He is the all-compelling. He will compel a person to do something. In this world, He has given us free will. However, in the afterlife, there's no choice. There is no choice. Okay? Na'udhu billah min dhalik. In the hadith, it says that some people, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now go to the hellfire, they will try to run in the opposite direction. And there'll be angels that will come and drag them. In another hadith, it says that there will be angels who will have ropes and rings of fire, which will they will wrap that person around and fling them into the fire of Jahannam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Jabbar, the all compelling. So whilst we have this free will, my brothers, it is very, very important that we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's quality of Al-Jabbar, and we make sure that anything that we do in accordance to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to pray 5 times a day. Let's pray 5 times a day before the day of judgment comes, and then the punishment will be there in front of our eyes. Let's all be compelled underneath the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right now. Say inshallah.
Inshallah.